Hello everyone. This video presentation consists of two parts. First, the early presence of Gamelan in the United States and Wesleyan, and second, a documentary film on the University of Hawaii Gamelan Ensemble. Let us begin. I'm sharing with you two photos of Gamelan Ensemble. Aside from elaborate decoration of the stage in the first photo, the two gamelan sets up have something in common. As you can see, each gamelan set is arranged on a three-graduated tier stage, a design to ensure that gamelan instruments are attractively displayed. This setup is not traditional gamelan arrangement. Commonly, gamelan instruments are placed on the same level of a performance space. People listening to gamelan do not need to see the instruments, since gamelan is not a concert music, but music performed in conjunction with feasts and ceremonies, such as a royal ceremonial event, a ritual for cleansing a village, a wedding celebration, and other rite of passage occasions. I'm sure you are familiar with the setup of gamelan in one of the photos. That is Western gamelan on the stage in the World Music Hall. However, if you look at closely, the gamelan set was not the one presently displayed on the stage. The gamelan in the photo was originally displayed and performed at the 1964 New York World's Fair. Wesleyan bought the set after the completion of the fair, using it for classes and performances until in 1983, when another gamelan set were donated to the university. What about the other gamelan set up on the other photo? It is also a gamelan set up in an event in the United States, but it took place more than 2 centuries ago. The event was the 1893 Chicago World's Fair to celebrate the 400th anniversary of Christopher Columbus, the name which has recently become a subject of controversy. So, both gamelan have something in common. They were arranged on a graduated tier stage and performed at the World's Fair. The graduated tier stage, which was immortalized at Wesleyan, became standard performance space in the World's Fair, the 1893 Chicago, the 1964 New York, and the 1984 Vancouver's World's Fair. Certainly, the socio-political and cultural background between the first and the other two fairs is different. The Chicago World's Fair was held in the context of colonialism, in which racism was not uncommon. The last two fairs were held in democratic and multicultural contexts. On a personal note, I should mention that I have a direct experience playing gamelan in the World's Fair, which was in the 1970 World's Exposition in Osaka, Japan. Now, about gamelan performed in the Chicago's World Fair. After the completion of the fair, the gamelan was kept at the Fine Art Museum in Chicago with dance costumes, masks for dancing, wayang puppet, and other things. There were no significant gamelan activities following the Chicago Fair, not until in 1940s when a group of musicians and dancers from East Java, named after its prima donna Devija, traveled and performed around the world in Asian countries, Middle East, Israel, and Europe. Escaping from the Second World War, the group ended up in New York. They performed in different cities and universities. While in residence in California, Devija's company often appeared in motion pictures. One of them was the 1945 film entitled The Picture of Dorian Gray. Sometimes Devija hired American musicians. It just happened that one of them was later became a student of ethnomusicology at UCLA and subsequently became a prominent ethnomusicologist specializing in Japanese music. He is William Malm, now a retired professor of music at the University of Michigan Ann Arbor. Now, in 1952, another group of gamelan, this time Balinese gamelan and dance troupe, traveled to Europe, then to the United States, performing in New York and other cities. The photo you see was a performance at the Thunderbird Hotel in Las Vegas. The video clip you are about to see does not need any explanation.
Here's Ghost of the Town. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Lincoln Mercury Dealer's Toast of the Town, and to all of you throughout the country who are celebrating the holidays, every warm and wonderful wish. In our first fall show of the season with Pat O'Brien and Joey Lewis and Edith Piaf, we're starting our show with a special extra attraction. These are the dancers of Bali who've traveled 12,000 miles to get here. They were brought here by the Columbia Concert Organization, Fred Shands. They're playing now at the Fulton Theater, and you're going to see their little star. She's 12 years old. Her name is Gusta Rocca. This is the dance of the bumblebee. She's a little girl bumblebee, and then as she dances around plucking honey, the boy bumblebee comes on. So here are the dancers of Bali with their amazing Gamelan orchestra. Let's have a nice welcome to them, won't you, please?
When the group performed in New York, a young Wesleyan professor watched the show. His name is Richard Winslow. He passed away in 2017. In one of his writings, he mentions that as a student at Juilliard School of Music, he always wondered about the term masterpiece used by his teacher in reference to music composed by prominent composers such as Brahms, Beethoven, and Bach. After attending Balinese music and dance in New York, Winslow was convinced that Balinese music also earned the description of a masterpiece, and there must be many other masterpieces in the world. In addition to teaching courses on Western music, Winslow was a long-time conductor of Western orchestra, chair of the department, composer, and instrumental in establishing the world music program. The year 1958 marks the inclusion of gamelan in the academic curriculum. It happened at the University of California in Los Angeles in its Institute of Ethnomusicology. Its founder, the late Professor Mantelhood, felt the importance of his students to have some practical experiences of the music which they study. Hence, the practical study of gamelan and other non-Western music in UCLA. I should mention that before teaching at UCLA, Mantelhood studied at the University of Amsterdam. His main guru was Jaap Kunst, a trained lawyer and violinist of folk music. While being a Dutch colonial civil administration in Indonesia, he spent much of his time to study Indonesian music for 15 years, particularly Javanese music. After returning to the Netherlands, he continued his research and work on Indonesian music. He was one of the founders of ethnomusicology. Back to the United States, the gamelan study proliferated after Mantelhood's students introduced it in ethnomusicology program in the United States and abroad. One of them, the late Professor Robert Brown, was hired by Wesleyan in 1961. He was one of the founders of the Wesleyan's World Music Program. Particularly, he was responsible for establishing performance study group of Japanese gamelan and Indian music. To complete the development of Wesleyan's world music program, I should mention the third of its founder, the late Professor David McAllister. A graduate of Columbia University, McAllister's main study was American Indian music. As an anthropology professor since 1947, he also believed the importance of some practical experience of the music. Aside from his teaching of courses and seminars on anthropology of music and ethnomusicology, he was known for organizing and performing an American Indian dancing and singing in Andrewsfield, working together with an American Indian visiting artist named Doogie Mitchell. I would like to end part one of the video presentation here. The second part is to watch a documentary film, Gamelan of Java, an introduction, presented by the University of Hawaii Gamelan Ensemble under the direction of the first gamelan teacher in the United States, the late Professor Harjo Susilo. Before we do that, I will be happy to answer your questions and hear your comments. Thank you.